True Goodness Films presents Stories of Grace, an interview with Kari Janisse about her struggle with infertility and the gift of her son, John Paul. Well, Kari, I'm very excited to visit your youth group lounge.
Welcome. This is it. We're here.
And Kari's been a youth minister for how many years now?
10 years at this parish. Just actually coming up on that July 1st will be officially 10 years here. And 9 months prior to that at St. Bridget's in Glassboro, which was the parish that Phil and I were married at.
Okay, great. And this is the Diocese of Camden that she serves in, right?
Diocese of Camden, yep. Our Lady of Peace Parish, formerly St. Mary's.
Okay, and it's very active and vibrant here, right?
We got a lot going on, yeah.
How has it been balancing work and being a mom now?
Well, that was the biggest fear, I have to say. During the 10 years of infertility, the biggest worry that didn't exist even because I wasn't getting pregnant during those times, which we'll get into. But the always thought was, when I get pregnant, how am I going to do it all? Because outside of this parish, I also run a part-time entertainment business. So it's always been a fine balance between both jobs. And now here we are, thinking about bringing into the mix a child. How will that balance out, you know, from the infant stages of nursing to the running around stages and everything. But I have to say, it's been a way easier transition than I ever thought it would be. So that has brought me so much peace because I was like always worried about it. And here I am.
You can't foresee it, right? But God brings you the help that you need.
Absolutely.
And if you need to pull back from things, he lets you know that too.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yep. And I've been able to find that balance. Okay, when does my family need me absolutely 100%, you know, home or with my family doing family things? And then where am I needed in the church and where has God called me that? Because the one thing, I don't even remember where I heard it, but one thing I always remember in the back of my mind is that your first vocation is to marriage and, of course, your family. After that is your job, you know, and, of course, I see my job as a vocation as a youth minister. So where's that vocation now fall in regards to my family?
Right. So let's take a step back, actually, because you said for 10 years you struggled with infertility, right?
Yes.
Was this something you first saw as a problem going into marriage? Did you realize, like, oh, I might have trouble getting pregnant?
Right, yeah. So kind of a little backstory. You know, Phil and I, when we got into our marriage, we met on a retreat. And so, when we got into the marriage. Yeah. When we met on a retreat. And we always had Christ as the center of our relationship. It was an important founding part of our relationship. And so leading up until our marriage, engagement period, even dating period and then engagement, remaining pure was a big aspect of our relationship. And so we knew going into marriage, like we wanted to learn NFP, we wanted to be able to implement that into our marriage and where God was calling us with children. And so, you know, we always knew that openness to life would be there, but there was no prior knowledge of any medical evidence or any other evidence that we would have problems getting pregnant. So we were just always open to life, using NFP as a way to be open to life in our marriage. And we kind of always thought and through prayer felt when we were engaged, since we were living at that time 2 hours apart, I was in North Jersey, Phil was in South Jersey where we live here. And we always thought, you know, we need a little time to grow as a married couple. Exactly. Okay. And so
because you met in college.
We met in college, right? Yes. So we were both, you know, adults at that time. I was 21, Phil was 23, but still young, still trying to figure out our careers. And even at that time, you know, there was a lot of uncertainty because I was moving to North Jersey after graduation. Phil was staying down here. So there was a lot of long distance dating. So we really wanted to just grow in each other in our marriage first, and then you know, continue to pray when God would ask of us for children. But that openness to life with natural family planning was always there.
So then when did it hit the point where you started to get a little bit discouraged? Because in the beginning you were okay, like, all right, I'm not getting pregnant yet. I'm not really ready for this.
Exactly, yeah.
So when did it hit the point where you're like, wait, why isn't it happening?
Exactly. There was a definitive point. I do remember. So we had been married about 2 years, and again, that openness to life always there. And I said, well, to my gynecologist at just an annual women's appointment, I said, you know, I haven't gotten pregnant yet. We weren't actively trying. You know, should I be concerned? And she said, I'll never forget this quote. Even if all the stars are aligned, and I'm thinking, okay, if God wants this, even if all the stars are aligned, it could take up to a year for you to conceive. It's not always the like first time you try.
Right.
So don't worry. Start trying now when you know you're more susceptible to become pregnant in your monthly cycle. And after a year, if you're not pregnant, come back and see me, and we might look into a specialist. And so that's what we did. I kind of took that.
So you had some peace about it.
Yeah,
oh,
total
okay.
peace for a year. Didn't even think about it like too much. Didn't stress about it too much. It was kind of like, if God wants this to happen now, it's gonna happen. We're really trying, but it took that year. And then after that year, it was 2010. We were married in 2007, April of 2007.
Okay.
So that year of 2010, that year I started to think, what's going on? Maybe I should look into something more deeper.
With our fertility.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I had a friend who I was confiding in about this, and she said, my really good friend, Maria, has this OBGYN doctor. He's also an endocrinologist, and he's Catholic. And if you want to go...
Perfect.
Yeah, I said, okay. And she said she got pregnant from going to him because she was having similar issues to me, trying and nothing happened. So I initially went to him around fall of 2010, and great guy, Dr. Gerald Burke, amazing man. And I walked into his office, which at this time he wasn't out on his own. He was under one of the local hospitals by us. And even though it was at a local hospital office, I walked into it, and there was crucifix on the wall, Saint Gerard hung up, and I was like, okay, because I had been praying to Saint Gerard actually at this point. And I was like, okay, this is where I'm supposed to be. I felt totally good, totally at ease, and that started the journey with Dr. Burke.
Wow. And so was he your doctor when you had John Paul?
He was. He didn't deliver him, but he led us up until conception. And then when it was really cool when we saw this 6-week ultrasound of the heart beating was with him.
Aww.
And that confirmed all the blood tests. That was the final confirmation. Right. Blood tests are saying positive. Here's the heartbeat. That was the last appointment I had with him, which was July of 2017.
Wow. So John Paul was born in 2018?
March 5th, 2018.
2018. So then from 2010 till, I guess, 2017 when you got pregnant, those 7 years, tell us about the different, what you went through, like, I guess emotionally, like physically, and then even spiritually.
Yeah.
If you can cover those 3 points.
That's always what I put it out to, yep. Okay, so the journey of infertility, of course, is different for everybody. There's a lot of aspects, to it, from insurance and what they cover to the doctors you see, and to the medications you take and everything else. We knew going into this journey of infertility, because seeing Dr. Burke kind of for that first time confirmed, okay, I'm labeled as an infertility patient. That was that confirmation to me, like I'm no longer just...
Because it took long. It took you so long to get pregnant.
And because I had to see somebody.
You weren't able to get pregnant.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. We're at this point where we know I'm not getting pregnant. We know that there's something probably else going on, and we need to find out what that is. And if that is just God's hand and when His timing is, then that could be it. For me, there was other medical things. And I'll get into them. So. Initially, it was like, okay, let's just do some initial tests to make sure that there's no blockages, no things that we're missing here that are just key things that are easy fixes, but are just, maybe something is being blocked, or something.
Progesterone.
Your hormone levels are correct. Your husband's sperm is strong.
Right.
Am I getting too specific?
Grounds. No.
Okay. I just want to make sure.
Because I feel like I know younger married couples that are that are just just from my own friends. They're like, oh, I thought it just was easy.
I did too.
I thought it kind of happened.
And I had a lot of friends who literally their wedding night or a month after.
And for some people it is.
It is, yes.
But not for everyone.
No, it's not. And so all the initial tests were showing. Check. The hormone levels were a little off, so just some simple medication to help rebalance them was needed. So I did go on that. That in itself is emotionally trying because anytime your hormone levels are messed with, you definitely, as a woman, can feel it. You experience it. We know this from our monthly cycle, and now having had a child, you're being with child probably are experiencing it. It just changes things chemically in your body, and there's times where I just have to take deep breaths and try to control my, frustration levels or anger or shortness, things like that. So that was an emotionally trying time, a little bit more because of the chemical imbalance. Later emotions came out as the journey continued. And then, so that was the initial thing. with my doctor, being Catholic, being where Phil and I, my husband, stood, we were basically, I went into that appointment, I said, I will only do what the Catholic Church teaches. He said, well, that's great, because that's all I do, too.
Prescribed, too.
He said, unlike my former coworkers, and he started to kind of list some of the names in the industry of South Jersey that, do IVF and other procedures that are just not the way God would intend it.
That's a good way to put it, yeah.
Exactly. So that's where we were at, and that's where he was at. So it was like, okay, we're on the same page here. We have a good fit with a doctor. So the initial test went on, and basically was using different medication to help. So what the church's teachings are, and I had to take a really good hard look. I sought out different priests who I knew were knowledgeable in these areas of moral theology.
Right.
One had studied it in Rome recently, Father Dave Rivera. I would call him up and say, I just want to make sure this is okay and that is okay. Yeah. Because my spiritual director, while he's amazing, he said, I've been at a seminary 30 years. There's so much has changed. I want to be sure I'm guiding you right. So call this younger priest. And it was very helpful to me to have peace of mind that, because, you start to think, well, when medication's introduced, is it all right?
If you get pregnant, if you were to get pregnant, you wanted to make sure it was that God was being honored.
Absolutely.
Throughout the process, right?
Absolutely, yeah. There was no way we knew IVF was off the table and anything like that. And it's interesting because at a certain point, a couple years into it, my husband's insurance, which I was under, was asking us to stop seeing Dr. Burke and go to these South Jersey fertility clinics for this, for my diagnosis. They said, we will no longer cover where he is. You're only allowed, and it was 3 choices, and all of them had those procedures done there.
Oh, that's
and
hard.
They said, no, and I called them to try to challenge them on it and say, these are places where I know these things are done, and I don't feel comfortable going there with my moral beliefs and my religion beliefs. And they said, well, you don't have to have those services there. You could do the other things. And I said,
but they're not going to push that because they're going to push IVF.
And I'm also still giving them my money, my co-pays, my insurance pay to a place that I don't want to support that. And so it caused a little financial stress with us because now I had to come out on my own insurance. Thankfully, I work for the church. So the church, even in their own insurance policies, only allows for particular medications and things as well because of...
the church is a nonprofit too.
Yeah. And they know their teachings, Yeah. So it was a little more financially difficult for us because it cost a little more, but we were willing to make that sacrifice. So we knew there were certain things we could do and we wouldn't do, and so some of those things that you are able to do is to take medication to help you produce more eggs, and Clomid is like the first start of that, and then later.
Wait, technically you're born with all your eggs in your body, though.
Yes, but to release more. At that time of conception.
So a better chance.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because you're in this category where you're already struggling, you've been struggling, and now you're just basically bumping yourself up to the next category. There are chances for multiples, but for the most part, knowing your history... Well, we were open to that too.
Twins.
Exactly. Yeah, sure. But knowing my history, the doctor, as we went along, knew... If you're going to get one, you're probably going to only get one. Right. And based on his past experiences as well. And so...
So you are able to do that?
Yes. Which was great because it, helped give you your odds a better chance,
Also, didn't you have surgeries as well?
Yeah, so that was another aspect of it. So we started with the Clomid, and again, nothing's happening. Each month you're getting a little more discouraged and a little more upset and... Like, oh, you know what was going on? You get these little hopes. Okay, we're going to try this medication. And then you get a hope, and then boom. Yeah. So now we get to 2014. So we're in this process for a few years already. And the next step is, okay, with women who have a disease called endometriosis, it's incurable. There's usually 2 ways that they're diagnosed. The first way, which was not me, was painful periods and a couple other symptoms monthly that you get, and it's like you kind of are tipped off that you might have it.
Right.
Or the other way is that you find out you're infertile, and it's in your years of trying that you find that out. That was the case and category I fell under.
Okay.
And it started to make sense a little bit.
So you were also diagnosed with endometriosis. And so was that the root cause, would you say, or you don't know?
So I think there's 3 root causes if I just looking back. First was God's will and timing. Not a cause, more just the overlaying thing.
That's true. Give him the most credit for when he allows blessings or whatever.
Absolutely.
Or times of dryness.
The second was endometriosis, and the third would have been I was categories and ovarian dysfunction.
Oh,
so,
okay.
What that entailed, I couldn't even tell you. It just was the medical category for the way my body worked. Maybe if you had Dr. Burke on, he could explain it a little better than I. So the endometriosis was one of the big factors, and actually, I recently found out that in April they have a week for. How they have weeks for everything, or months for everything, or days for everything. They have Endometriosis Awareness Week, and in finding that out, there's statistically it's 1 in 8 women that are affected by it. Yeah, so 1 in 8 or 1 in, it might even be 1 in 10. I'm sorry.
But from my understanding, it doesn't always affect a woman's fertility.
Correct. Yeah, could
sometimes
be those painful periods.
Yeah. Sometimes it doesn't. Right.
Yes. Yeah.
But what it is, it's scar tissue grows on the outside of the uterus, right?
And even sometimes the bladder and the fallopian tubes and other organs that are in that area, even the intestines. Yeah.
Oh wow.
So there are 4 stages of diagnosis. There's no way to tell if you have it other than opening you up in surgery and seeing the growth of the scar tissue. And so the doctor said to me the first time,
not even an ultrasound?
Nope, doesn't show up. Yeah, no.
Or a CAT scan, MRI? No.
Not to my knowledge, no. Yeah, right. He said, we only have one way to find out. We go into surgery. And it could be simple as open you up, see nothing, close you up 15 minutes.
Okay.
Or as long as a couple hours to clear
remove.
You out.
Okay.
Which is done with like a laser. And I was about 3.5 hours my first surgery. Wow. So I went in. All I remember, when you go into surgery, you count to 3 and the anesthesia kicks in.
Right.
But apparently the process is they basically inflate your stomach with gas and then are able to use small incisions near your uterus to go in and to look with a scope, and then what they see, and then they start to, basically burn off those areas of growth. And so I got to see pictures afterwards because they take pictures of the growth, to be able to monitor it and chart it over the years and such. And what I could see was all over, just black marks all over my uterus, my fallopian tubes. It actually was. I think I ended up having a second surgery in 2016 as well. And
because it grew back?
It grows back, yeah. So I think it was the second surgery that the fallopian tube was actually being almost closed off because of the lesions growing on it. Yeah. Oh, wow. So the first surgery, he went in, so there's 4 stages. I was stage 3 in the development of it. So this had been growing my entire life.
You didn't know.
Since a young woman, and I had no idea that this is happening every month inside of me, because the more you have it.
And you didn't have painful periods.
Not so much. Headaches. That's the only thing was, and I don't know if that had to do. Yeah. So that was, there was no tip off really there. There really wasn't. I would take a leave, and I felt like every other girl that just had to take, one dose or something to like go through it. So I came out of that surgery in 2014, and he tells me about the diagnosis, and I said, yes, we have an answer. There was the reason. We solved it. Now we can get pregnant, right? And it was just seemed that simple. It really did. And he said to me, well, basically put me down to reality in like a follow-up appointment, that there's a couple things going on. First, endometriosis grows every month with the woman's cycle. So there's no way to stop it unless you actually physically put yourself through menopause, because now you're shutting down your organs and you're allowing medication to kill off even all the microscopic lesions that have grown. And in order to do that, you're not shedding your blood every month, so you have to go through menopause. And that's like one way to try to clear it even more out, right? But again, the only ways to cure it are to go as a later female adult. When I go through menopause, it'll be cleared out and stopped because it grows every month, so it stops then. To get pregnant, it stops because you're not getting your period, or to have a hysterectomy, which that was off the table, right? So I said, well, we just went through the surgery, and it was a little painful, and there was recovery time and all of that. I remember the first time I had it, I didn't know how the recovery was going to be. I had the surgery on, I think, a Wednesday. And that Saturday, I was a confirmation sponsor. And I had to tell the youth who had asked me, the young man I sponsored, actually it was 2 young men that year, said, listen, guys, like, there's a chance I might not make it. I don't know. I'm having surgery. Thankfully, I was able to make it. It was, though.
You're a go-getter person.
Yeah, I tried. I had to hold it together here because it was very painful
Hurt.
in your abdomen
Sore,
area.
probably,
yeah,
right?
very sore. That was the biggest recovery of it. And I remember thinking, wow, I'll never take my health for granted again because, you know, I thankfully have been, you know, up until this point in my life, no diseases. I think I broke my pinky, was the only bone I ever broke in my body. Like, have been pretty healthy. And so at this point, I'm like, wow, to be down and out and not going and moving and be able to freely do the things that I do in everyday life. Wow, like I really need to not take my health for granted anymore.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about, so now you didn't get pregnant after that first surgery. You had, another 2 years before you had to get your second?
I went through that medication, went through menopause for 6 months.
Oh, you did that too?
I did it because I felt it would be optimize my
But then
chance.
you couldn't have a chance to get pregnant.
Not during those 6 months. So you're now are in
That'll
Atlanta.
wreck you emotionally,
Oh,
right, too?
Yes. But you know what's interesting? That was right when we went to John Paul II's canonization mass.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was
were
there.
there too,
That's
right?
right.
So
I
that
think I
was
was
cool.
praying for you at that
There
time
was a
because
lot.
there became a point where you also like opened up to people to ask for prayers too, right?
Yeah, there was. I would say around that time because it was okay. And I'm gonna have surgery and all this stuff. So I started to just and people
Ask
kind of
for
knew.
prayers.
You know, at this point, you're married 7 years, and you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, went through all that 6 months, and then the hope was really like risen.
So after your surgery, you did the menopause thing as well to try to clear it out. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
So now spiritually, let's take a break from like the technical stuff and just talk about that.
Like,
what was
that's
your
gonna
prayer?
be inserted into
was
this
it
all.
like all the time were you praying like, come on, Lord, give me a baby, please, 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 or like? Did you try a bunch of different novenas? You know?
I think we prayed to like every saint that somebody told us to pray to for.
Yeah.
Of course, it started with Saint Gerard, who my family.
And then you go down the list. He's not helping me next.
Yeah,
No.
kind of. Yes, kind of. No, he was kind of a constant, but some of the others were in and out.
Mm-hmm.
Always God, of course. Always in our marriage, you make that vow to be open to life. So of course that was initially always there. But when the problem started to arise, when we started to see this is going to be a problem for us, we started to take it on as a more like fervent prayer, like very fervent prayer. So every night in film, we do a nightly prayer together. That was our first intention, always. It's a God, and then my family has always had a devotion to Saint Gerard, and so that was always number
the shrine's up there. In
we grew up like 5
right?
minutes from the shrine. My grandmother at the church where the shrine is hosted, St. Lucy's in Newark. My grandmother, my grandma Lucy, God rest her soul, made all of her sacraments there and was even buried from there. So our family has a long history.
St. Gerard. Okay.
She went to school at St. Lucy's Parish there, and so St. Gerard was always a big part of her life. She passed it on to her kids, and they passed it on to us. So yeah, we've always had a big devotion to him. All of my cousins, everyone. So I think though it's funny because everyone knows him as that saint, and so I'm like, my grandmother got somebody from the shrine that she knew to give me a second-class relic of him, and they always hand out these like blessed third-class relics of like little handkerchiefs because that's part of his story that he left his handkerchief with the woman in labor that was having trouble, and so. Anyway, it's funny because people be sending me St. Gerard medals and prayers. I'm like, I got this. Like, I'm already covered. Like, but then they started to move on to other saints. So I've gotten some St. Gianna, St. John Newman. Like, and then just like random saints, St. Rosalima. I'm like, they have nothing to do with
Actually, this probably built your devotions to different saints during
right?
Yeah,
it was all part of it for sure.
Yeah,
I mean, I probably saints I wouldn't have went to maybe specifically if not for that. So they were all part of the story. But in the end, the greatest hope through all of this, so the first surgery 2014, the second surgery 2016, and then not conceiving until 2017. When all those months, I mean, you just look at it, pretty much almost 10 years of monthly disappointment.
Yeah.
Or even times where you couldn't try because of certain things, like the medications for the menopause, for example. The greatest hope spiritually was praying for God's timing through all of this and what he wanted.
But also you were getting older, though. So were you like, God, don't you have an idea of timing? Like, or not?
I'll get to that. All right.
All right.
The greatest hope, I think, was the daughter of Maria Esperanza, servant of God Maria Esperanza. She's from Venezuela, and she had great gifts of. Her cause has been open for canonization. It was open in 2010, and she had great gifts of the Holy Spirit, and one of them was the reading of hearts, formerly known as Kari Janisse, but as we know it as the gift of the Holy Spirit, the gift of knowledge, and so infused knowledge from God. And she was foretold by the Blessed Mother that 2 of her daughters would also receive this gift, and she had 6 daughters and 1 son, and 2 of them would carry on.
And her
this
daughters
gift.
are still living.
Her daughters are still living. Right. Yes, they're in the middle age, and they have kids and grandkids as well. I have known their family for years through my pastor and friends since I was in college.
So you never met Maria Esperanza, servant of God, but you kind of met her through her daughters in a sense.
Exactly, through her entire family.
Right.
Yes, and so, I met her daughters in 2009 for the first time, and specifically one of them, her name is Karamoto, and it was my first year of youth ministry. I was having a lot of doubts in youth ministry. Should I be here?
You're a graphic design major too, right?
Yeah. Okay. I worked in that field for 5 years prior to switching to youth
that
ministry.
was like your degree out of college. But your passion was really God and serving.
Exactly.
In a sense.
Yeah.
I mean, you have the side business, like you said.
Yeah, I'm all over, right?
Entertainer. But at the same time, okay.
Yeah, so what happened, what led me to youth ministry, which is, I wanted to tell you earlier, I'm really excited to share this, was I had lost a job unexpectedly in graphic design. We were newly married. We were married only 9 months at this point. No, not even. A few months. Less than a year, whatever it was. And lost this job in graphic design. We had just bought a house. We had a mortgage. We were hoping, anticipating a family at that time. And lost a job unexpectedly and was like, whoa, we need a paycheck, And went to my spiritual director, Father Maz, who said to me, I know in college you used to help me out through the Newman Center, do retreats and stuff. In a few months, I'm hoping to make a full-time youth ministry job at this parish, and I would love to see you take that on. I was like, Father, I have no formal training. He's like, I think you'd be fine to do it. You have a lot of experiences. You're great with kids. I've seen you interact with them.
Your personality.
Yeah.
Too.
It's just like, and I said, okay,
I'll wait it out. And you work well with him, too. That's important, too.
It's so important. Yes. So I said, okay, Father, I'll wait it out. We can survive. And God provided in that time of, in between that job starting and me losing the other job. Yeah. And then we stuck it out, and then that's when youth ministry started in 2009. So I was only in it for like a few months at this point, and I meet Karamoto, and in my mind I was doubting, when you start anything new, you're just getting it off the ground.
But like you said, each month was a disappointment in a sense, and that's hard to go through because you're waiting, You're waiting, like, am I going to get my period or am I not?
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
And then if it's a couple days late and you take a pregnancy test, and then it's
awful.
Yeah.
It's awful. It's very painful, actually. Yeah, so
you met Karamoto.
I met her, and I was having these doubts, and she, reassured everything. One of the things... So I never told anybody about these doubts. Never told my husband.
Well, it was still very early on.
In youth ministry, yeah.
Oh, no, I was having doubts in youth ministry. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. And I was thinking, whenever I have a child... I'm going to leave youth ministry and just become a stay-at-home mom. That was my mind. Yeah. And I had this in my mind, swirling around. But never told my husband, Phil. Never told Father Maz. Never told anyone, really. It was just thoughts,
Yeah.
You think about these things in your downtime. And she said to me, one of the very first things she said to me is, you will stay in the field of youth ministry when she's talking. I was like, sold. I believe every gift you have. What else are you going to tell me? Because I had never told anybody. So that was the first, and then God probably made that happen first to let me be open, my heart be open to hear
to other words.
Yes, because the other words that she said was, God is preparing a beautiful gift for you in heaven right now. And it's a baby, boy. I could see the top of his hair. He has blonde hair.
Wait, so why did you even do a baby reveal party?
Okay, I'll tell you about that too.
Right, keep going.
I'll tell you about that too. All right, so blonde hair, blue eyes, and I'm like, what? So I said, well, when? When? Can you tell me when? And she said, I don't know, maybe soon, maybe a year or two. She couldn't. God didn't reveal that. God didn't reveal that
and maybe that's good because that's almost the difference between, I think, the gift of prophecy and the gift of... I'm not saying and people wanting to go to a psychic,
Absolutely.
Right?
God only tells you what
what he knows is best. And that's why
Yes.
you have to, like, it's good to hear from these people that are steeped in prayer, that are, you know, have spiritual
Guided by the
direction,
church.
orthodox, because what they share with you will help you.
Only help you. And only help you in your faith life.
Versus, I need to know because I need more control.
Yeah. And I can honestly say this, it sounds hard, it's hard to say, but I think I probably would have lost a little bit of my faith if I didn't have those words during these 10 years.
Oh, it was hard.
Yeah.
That's a big
Because my faith has always been a huge part of me, but that cross got heavy at times.
Yeah.
It did. And so
that really gave you strength.
Yeah, and then through the years, we had been blessed to take our youth group and our young adult group to pilgrimages to Batania, Venezuela, which is where her mother, Maria Esperanza, received all the apparitions took place, starting in privately in 1978, but public apparitions in 1984. And they're all approved by the church. They all are approved apparitions. Now we know things like apparitions and spiritual gifts are private revelation, and our church teaches that you can choose to believe them or not. Right. But what I always say...
They're there to support you in your faith.
Exactly. You know, they're only going to help you grow in your faith. Like, you know, if it's all guided by the church, why not? Like
Fatima, when people say that.
Yes, exactly. Fatima and Guadalupe, all of them, you know. But look at the fruit of how many people have been healed, how many people have regained their faith, conversions. I mean, all of that has come through these. So
this is one of the messages she gave you about that God's preparing gift for you. This was in 2009, though.
2009.
You didn't get pregnant until 2017.
Yes.
Wow.
So that carried me through many years. Yeah. 8 years.
And even as you were growing older, right? Because there's a lot of fear of women, like they're getting older, they think their time's running out, and they want to have a family.
Yeah. So we went through, 2014, surgery, 2016, another surgery similar to the first one.
And did you have to get the second one because it just grew back?
It grows back.
And you weren't able to get pregnant in that time?
Exactly.
Oof.
And so he said, why don't we try surgery again since it's been 2 years? And actually it proved to be true. It grew back so much that I was already back at stage 3 in 2 years.
Gosh,
yeah. So 24 months of regrowth and boom, it was right back to where we were 2 years ago. Yeah. So, after that surgery, my husband and I, so through these years in 2009 and 2015, we had talked to Karamoto or her sister, Maria Grazie, who also has messages from the Lord, from God. And we had talked to them 13 times. We're blessed because of all those trips we had taken with the youth. And we had been to Batania 5 times on trips, guiding youth there. They have come here a few times. So we were blessed to be able to talk, and all of their words were what got us through to that point. But we're here at 2016 now. And we're saying, when is this happening? We were told. When is this happening? And, in those years, you get everybody telling you their opinion. You should do this. You should adopt. You should foster care to adopt. You should seek out IVF. People are always so open to tell you that. And all that time, of course, as I said, IVF off the table, but adoption was in the back of my mind. Maybe foster care was in the back of my mind, but I knew that'd be very difficult. And we're just saying, but no, we were told. We were told we were going to have a baby. We had trust in this.
Therese has a quote, right? God wouldn't inspire certain desires on our heart unless he
That's
wanted
awesome.
to fulfill it.
Yeah.
So that's what I think of sometimes when people go through different times. Well, if, search that desire in your heart. Is it planted there by God? Then maybe he's just, making it really open arms to receive it, but it's hard. Yeah.
Yes. So we were trusting our whole hearts, but we were at times saying, what the heck, God? What are you doing? We're on our knees, please. Everyone's on their knees. At this point, I think everybody that knew us was praying.
Your prayer life at times, too,
oh,
right?
Yeah. And also there were times where the month were around, you're not pregnant, and, emotionally you're a wreck, and I just go into Father Mass's office bursting in tears, like, what? Yeah. Why? Help me. I don't, I'm just I don't even know at this point. There was also really difficult moments where, so Dr. Burke had to change offices. His office ended up being right across the street, less than a half a mile down the road from the abortion clinic that I would pray at monthly.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm like, I can't do this anymore.
It's oof.
I'm walking out of this office trying to get pregnant, and these women are walking out of this office a half mile away, discarding their life that God gave them. And that was probably the hardest the hardest part. That was really
Now,
hard.
did you have a certain intention through all of this? Like, what also, so the messages helped you hold on. I'm sure, like, relationship with Father Maz as spiritual director, the sacraments, but did you have also an intention? Maybe you were offering your sufferings up at different times along the way?
Oh, yeah. There was always a different person we'd offer. Anytime somebody told me to pray for somebody, I
When you
insert
had that
them.
pain.
Yeah. There wasn't one specific one, just
whenever people needed prayers.
Yeah, because that was the greatest suffering I had.
So I guess the big question of it all is why in 2017? Like, right?
Yeah.
Like, only God knows,
Only
but
God
do you have
knows.
any, like,
Yeah.
ideas in God's mind or whatever?
Yeah, no, I will tell you this. So 2015 was the last time we talked to Carmoto. She told me to pray to St. Anthony. And she told me a few things about St. Anthony in relation to my son, and that to possibly name him after the saint. Okay. And in our heart, we always wanted John Paul.
Yeah.
So we had to ask permission. Well, can we have his middle name Anthony?
That's so funny.
And that's where Anthony came from.
Wait, quick sidetrack.
Yeah.
It's so funny. They must all love Anthony because when my sister was pregnant, she went down to Venezuela.
Really?
And Gio was like, Gio, Maria Esperanza's husband.
Yeah.
Name him Antonio. That's Anastasia.
But it was a girl.
She ended up having a girl.
Yeah. That's
but
so
anyway,
funny.
So
yeah,
they were saying Anthony, and that
so
John Paul would have a devotion to him or something.
That your son we should have a devotion to him to pray for John Paul.
Oh, okay,
to pray for him to come, this child that we were foretold about. So we prayed for to St. Anthony very fervently. There was a specific prayer for like miracles through St. Anthony that I would pray for daily. And where it says insert your intention here, I would say to conceive and have, because I was worried. Once
you get pregnant,
conceive,
you gotta wait 9 months.
Exactly. There's so much that could, it has to go right, Lord. And so that was our big intention, to conceive and have John Paul. And a baby was at the time is what I would say. Yeah. So that was going strong. I think for 2 years. But the other thing was, after 2016, after the surgery, I actually said, I'm not doing the menopause thing. I'm not even going to take any medication. I'm cleared out. And if God wants this to happen, it's going to happen. But right now, I need to take a break from everything else. So I got the surgery, and I took a break from seeing Dr. Burke. I took a break from charting and everything. You're like, that you have to do.
Clear. It should. My body should work.
Yeah, exactly.
Just let it happen,
And so
God.
I was like, that's it. This is what we're going to do for like the next year. And that's what we did, and nothing still happened. Yeah. And so I said to my husband, it was in May of 2017. I said, look, I'm going to go back to Dr. Burke for June, July, and August. Well, at the end of May, kind of start seeing him. And June, July, and August. If August comes and I'm not pregnant after these 3 months, we're going to seek another option. And in my mind and heart, and I think in my husband's mind and heart, was adoption. And we would get whatever money we needed to, wherever we need to get it from, a loan or refinancing our house or whatever, because it is very costly to adopt, whether it be out of state or out of the country or in the country. Wherever God led us in that, we were willing to just get the money and do it. But that's where I was at. I said, I just can't do this anymore. I just can't. And that was the emotionally draining. It was also, in our spiritual life, it wasn't super spiritually draining. It did charge me up a lot, I would say. But there was those moments of you almost felt despair. Like, God, are you hearing me? Like, where are you? And so, and then the physically draining was everything from financial. Certain medications weren't covered in the end because they were put in such and such category by the pharmacist, but they weren't being used for that category. And it became difficult, like out of pocket paying for certain things. So that was where it became, as I say, my ultimatum to God. Yeah. And I never physically said, God, if you don't give me a child by August, I basically in my heart just
that's
knew.
all you could do,
exactly.
Right?
That's all I had left as a human, And I say up to this point, everything was like Good Friday. It was always a Good Friday. Every month was a Good Friday, and then it carried on to the next month. It was just Good Friday. Until we went back to Dr. Burke, and I said, push me as hard as you can. Do whatever you can, because I only have 3 months left. Wow. And he said, okay. And he knew what he was doing. He's been doing this for years. Again, Catholic in all his practice. And he always said to me at the end of every appointment, there's always a divine hand in this. And he would say, even if you get pregnant, there's a divine hand of God. I don't do it. It's a divine hand of God. I assist in it, but I don't do it.
He was a humble doctor.
Very humble, yeah. And even after the positive pregnancy test, he again said that line. So he pushed me as hard as he could. In the very first month, that was June, and taking the medications and the most, I guess, milligrams or whatever I could take. And we found out July 6, 2017, that I had a positive pregnancy test.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, what a day. What a day. Oh, just to hear just the emotions of that, even now I can feel.
I know, I want to cry.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Phil for a second, too.
Yeah,
so how was that for him?
Yeah, because there's two people to make a baby. Oh, he was so wonderful. You know, I look back, now I'm in Easter Sunday, as I say.
Yeah.
And I look back and I think, wow, like, God, you did so much in those 10 years. You did so much. He allowed for all these ministries to develop, but more importantly, our vocation of marriage is, it strengthened so much. We had some trying times during those years. Phil lost his mother unexpectedly. We lost our dog, who was like our baby up until that point. And then you're probably
thinking, like, that's grandma never got to see.
Yeah.
Things
we
like
still
that,
go
right?
through that a little bit. You know, watch out for him from above. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah. There were some tough moments in there, and only through it, you know, thankfully, because I know some couples that could, you know, have gone through different things and it tore them apart.
That. Yeah.
For us, it only strengthened, and it set such a great foundation to
bring together.
To bring John Paul up.
Because you're so excited to have
every moment. You cherish every moment.
It's
amazing. But Phil was great through it. He was so supportive. He always wanted to know after my appointments how they went. Like, would send me a text. Are you done yet? Like, it was really great.
Yeah.
Really
I'm still
great.
remembering the gender reveal video.
Okay, yeah. Let me tell you about that.
Because Phil's reaction is just so great. You know, I'll have to get that also for this.
I will give you that.
This.
Yeah.
That was.
Yeah. This is.
He was just like, yeah.
Oh my God.
You see the blue balloons come up.
The blue balloons, and he requested footballs if it was a boy. And they come up, and his reaction with the arms up, and people would say, this was 2017, right? September 2017. They say, it was like the Eagles won the football Super Bowl. Yeah. That's what people said his reaction. They equated it to. Well, months later in that February, they won the Super Bowl.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
I said, Phil, you're reliving it, you know? Like, his reaction was like the same.
But did you, like, in your heart, were you like, oh, it's got to be a boy. It's got to be a boy.
Well, yeah, it's exactly. I would call it hey.
So it was just like confirmation, the gender reveal.
The gender reveal, I said, okay, I waited this long. I'm doing everything that I've seen everybody else do. From gender reveals to, you know, big showers.
Bumpies, right? The bumpies. That's what they call the picture of the bump.
I actually took a picture. I had a goal to take a picture every single day of my pregnancy and put it together in a video. So I have that too. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
That was really cool to watch the progression. It's like a flip book. It's like you just hold each video for 0.1 second and just like a flip book. It's really cool. But, so I had more than bumpies. I had daily bumpies.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I didn't post them all. But I would post them.
People would be like, whoa, lady.
Okay, Kari. I did post a lot. But, yeah, so the gender reveal, I was like, I want to do it. Because everyone does it. And I waited.
Yeah.
Like, I want to do this. But in my mind, I was like, okay, I know it's a boy. If it's not a boy, oh, my God. What is this going to do for my faith? Like, how is this going to play out? Like... So, Father Maz was at our gender reveal. He knows all about these messages as my spiritual director. And he's up at the gender reveal. I said, Father, I want you to, like, say a few words, maybe a little prayer, and then we're going to cut the box that has the balloons in it and see what flies up. So, he was up on our deck where everyone's below. He said, I feel like the Pope coming on the balcony. I remember that. So, then he gives this whole beautiful speech and prayer, and we open it up. The balloons come out. Phil's reaction. I cry, and Father Maz is right there, and everyone's still screaming from the reaction, and he's like, were you really surprised?
Yeah.
And I said, Father, no, I know. I just wanted to do it. I just wanted to be sure. He's like, it's okay. I'm happy for you. It was really cool.
I feel like with your baby, so many people shared in this joy, though. Like, could you feel that? Like,
yes.
I just remember, like, seeing it, like, me and my sister, like,
yes.
Just everyone's just
people
so
I went to
happy.
Grammar school with that I haven't seen through grammar school sent me gifts.
Oh, my gosh.
And they said, I read your story, and I was touched. And I'm like... I haven't seen you since 1996. Awesome. Wow. And from everyone, people that said, like, they had their family members praying for us. That when we had
people you never even knew, I'm sure. So many. Yeah.
Incredible. And that's what I said, like, all the prayers came together, and it was God's perfect timing, you know, and here we are with this great joy. He's a good baby. He was a good baby, even younger. I know he's a little cranky today, but he was tired of the lack of nap. But other than that, he's been a great baby with... You know, sleeping through the night and just the different things that people struggle with. He's been really great.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I feel like we could talk even so much more about this, but we probably should wrap it up a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, there's other women struggling out there, and some women will never get pregnant, right? Like, or maybe they will, and just how can you encourage them?
Yeah.
And also people that may try to help them all, along the way.
Sure.
Like if you have a friend that's struggling with infertility, like how do you be there for them? Is it good to ask, or should you just lay off?
Yeah.
Or was it each woman maybe different about?
I'm sure there's probably different women. I can only speak from my own experience.
Yeah.
My own experience would be, first, I never do this anymore. I used to. When people are newly married, when do you have a baby? Yeah. Because people would be asking us that early on, and I'm like, and my answer would be whenever God wants it. And then as the time went on, they continued to ask it. It got harder to say that reply because I'm just like, it's not happening. So I finally started to say to people, it's not happening. Please stop ask. It's not that we're not trying. We're trying. Yeah. So I would say first, let God work in that individual couple. You don't know what's going on behind the scenes. And God is going to have a plan for them. So don't ask them when they're having a baby. Don't ask them, is it getting hard or trying? Because for us, those were some of the hardest questions.
So that would be the time maybe where you would open up and share if you needed to talk about it.
Yeah, depending on the individual.
No? Okay.
Yeah, because, it could be anybody from a casual person that I know here and there, friend of a friend, to a coworker, and it would be different responses for either. But I just laid off on asking anybody about that since my own journey, because I know like how hard it was sometimes
to answer,
especially further on to answer, because then that answer always led into more questions. Well, what are you doing? Who are you seeing? Do you seek out IVF? Did you try
adoption?
Your story again. It's too painful. And you're just like ripping open wounds every time, and you want to let that heal and God take His grace accordingly. So I would just say, pray for them. If you think they're struggling, pray for them. If you don't think they're struggling and you're just curious, pray that God puts that baby or child or right timing for them, whatever God's choice is for that. The second is, like, I know for me, it was really hard at a certain point to start to go to baby showers. So I stopped going, and that was a little hard. So just being mindful of that person and where they're maybe
when it triggers you and stuff.
Yeah, that was always a little hard. And then as far as like the inspiration, the prayer, is that I just feel like, there was a lot of, when I conceived in 2017, I was in the category of 5% or less to conceive. Between the age, I was 35. Between the background complications, and even tried to do some, just being extra sure. I was on progesterone for the first 8 weeks of pregnancy, even just to be sure I didn't lose the baby, because we think even attachment of the egg could have been a part of it. So that just it wasn't being able to attach. So we wanted to be sure to like give it extra hormones to help that. So, through that less than 5%. When you say that, it does sound a lot, but you think there's a 95% chance or more that I'm not gonna have a baby. That sounds harsh. And so I love that John Paul Anthony and Phil and my story is a story of hope, that you never know what God is going to work out. And trust, because we did have those words in 2009 that we trusted upon, that we prayed upon, and that we never lost total hope. Never did we come to a point where we're forgetting God, abandoned,
kind of despairing, but
never got to total abandonment of our faith, of our hope. But I think if we didn't have those words, maybe not everybody gets those words, but that to still have hope.
We have the scripture too. That's the word of God to hold on to. Like,
great point.
Like you have that, like that God wants to bless you. And I think this scripture would probably be hard though. Ask and you shall receive. I probably, if I were you, I would like, don't even read that to me right now.
Yeah, maybe
it's not playing out.
Yeah,
but still, your heavenly Father knows what you need before you even ask it. I think that's in the same thing.
Even
so like
Jeremiah, for I know the plans I have for
meditating
you,
on
Lord.
Different things like that. Right?
Yeah, those are definitely hopeful. The other thing I always think about is that God has His will. Because if you would have asked me when we were newly married, I would have wanted 5 kids. Phil wanted less, so we kind of said 3. But now, at this point in my life, I'm like, I don't even know if 3 is going to even ever happen. It might just even be this one. And so I always kind of come back to my mind, God has His plans and He knows what's best for you. So possibly for that person, it could be maybe they don't have kids. Or it could be maybe they adopt. Or it could be. So to just always pray for God's will in your life, because it might not be the way we planned it out.
And peace and acceptance of it, right?
And I'm at total peace if this is my only son. I can 100% tell you I'm at peace.
But you guys are still open, right? too. Oh, I'm just doing what you said not to do. Ask.
No, it's okay. At this point, it's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, we're totally open. We try every month, and if God wants it, it would be great. That St. Anthony prayer has now changed. That John Paul follows God's will in his life always, and
so
that
you just continue to pray to St. Anthony.
I continue that prayer.
Nice.
And I also add on, and if we can have a little girl, yeah, so to be specific, right? If we got a chance, yeah. But if not, I can say I'm at peace, and I try to savor every moment with my son that I can.
It's probably also hard. It's like sometimes you're probably tired and you're like, I can't be tired because I can't be cranky about motherhood because right.
Even earlier today, I'm like, I'm trying to do 18 things and
the struggle
he's
because
crying.
You're like I really like I prayed for this, so I but I'm sure God you have to be easy on yourself.
You have to be realistic. You know,
you're gonna have hard days, and
exactly.
It's okay.
Yep.
Yeah, it doesn't mean you're not grateful.
Yeah,
for your child.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think every mother can attest to that for sure. They don't feel like
Wow.
God,
thank you so much, Kari.
Oh, thank you. This was awesome.
Yeah, it was so nice to hear more of your story. I only knew bits and pieces. So.
Yeah, it's cool to kind of hear it all laid out. Even though we were a little all over the place, I think
it's okay.
I think we were able to follow it. So I hope.
I think so.
Enjoy it.
Well, thank you so much.
You're welcome.